Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
What if listening deeply and speaking truthfully were the building blocks to create a foundation of peace? Would you listen deeply? Would you speak your truth in a purposeful and respectful manner? Today, we're actually going to explore the concepts of peace and conflict here on Peace Conversation, USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and it's my honor and privilege to welcome Mr. Sir Ambassador Moses Abalode, and then I will introduce him. Welcome to the program, sir. You are on mute, I think. So Moses is a peace-building trainer and facilitator, someone I have actually been working with over the last year or so, also a PhD researcher, and so many more things, but someone whose entire getting up in the morning and moving forward is to help people understand peace and conflict. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jacalyn, for the opportunity. As always, it's good to be here.
It's lovely to have you, and we are doing this show once a month, so please do go to our YouTube channels and you can find our playlist there with our previous episode. So looking at your backgrounds, first of all, would you please share with our audience, where in the world are you and what's the status or state of peace there?
Okay, currently, thank you very much. Currently, I'm in Abuja, Nigeria, to be precise. And here in Nigeria, the status of peace, I can say we are experiencing negative peace. The curse of our current situation, we are not at war, but we cannot say we have world distribution of wealth. We cannot say we have justice as we should. We cannot say we have security, different kind of security now, which I might still discuss later. That is in the states, full state security because of issues around insecurity. We cannot say we have human security, which is another aspect of security that we can say we are lacking, which I might still discuss deeply later. And we cannot totally say that we have development, which is the third component of that indication for peace building. So for now, we're experiencing peace, but I can say it is peace building. It is negative peace rather. That is what we are experiencing. But we are not at war. We have relatively, some people will say we have peace, but if we are to go deeply, we have negative peace. I think that is how we want to explain that. And most countries in Africa and other parts of West Africa are also experiencing the same thing. We can't say we have peace like Joan Gatton defined positive peace. We cannot say we have those indications already, but we are not totally far. Negative peace is not totally bad, which I might still be explaining later. So we are on a journey to positive peace. If we get the stakeholders' transformation right, we can actually change the system and change the way we receive or perceive peace. So that's what my opening would be.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Ambassador. For those who are not familiar with the terms positive peace and negative peace, would you please explain them?
Okay, so for most of us, okay, if you're not familiar, there we have one of our noblest uh, peace building scholars who is categorized or referred as the father of peace and conflict studies, um, who did a lot of theorization and work into the categorization of what peace means. And in that study, he was able to categorize peace into negative peace and positive peace. So, negative peace is the absence of what the general way of we looking at peace, which is there is no violence in this place, so we can say there is peace. But that kind of peace is often negative. The other description of negative peace by some other scholars like Paul John Lidrack and other scholars, we can see negative peace as an enforcement of peace through violence. So you might see a conflict contest and people are fighting, and the one of the things you're doing is to ensure that you stop that conflict. So at that point, most times, interveners or people who want to intervene might say, "Oh, can we stop these people from fighting first?" And how do you do that? You you break that. You stop them by either use of force, and that's what you see in peacekeeping. The first thing is to ensure that there are maybe not armed, but people who are on ground to defend and to separate conflicting parties. When people are fighting, it happens a lot in Nigeria schools or most schools. When two people are fighting, the first thing the teacher does in some cases is to use force by beating both parties to stop fighting. That is negative peace. You have created peace, but you created it by the use of force that exists. And that is not totally bad. It's just that you have not resolved the underlying issues that cause that conflict. And that is where positive peace comes in. So now let's move to positive peace. So positive peace is saying beyond the absence of violence, beyond the use of force to cause peace, we must pay attention to the root causes of violence, ensure that we ensure that the people in conflict were able to speak out and say, this is what happened, this is why we were fighting. Then you can also go deeper to ensure that you resolve those underlying issues. And in the work of Joan Gatton, he paid more attention to issue around social justice, equity, dignity as the root causes that cause most of this conflict. But if you go deeper, beyond those mentioning, it is the structures that enable those violence to actually perpetuate for long term. And that is why he also delved into the issue of violence. What is now the causes of violence that enable the opposite of positive peace, which have to delve into the issue of direct violence, structural violence, and cultural violence. We have not come to the issue of conflict, but to understand what positive peace is, you must deal with those structures or the cultural concerns that make peace to either be possible or impossible in a particular context. So, positive peace is the absence of violence. That is one. It is the kind of peace that is achieved without the use of force. So, you also need to look at the approach, because the approach and the process of how you engage a particular thing determines most times the outcome you might get. So sometimes, like in my own case as a teacher, one of the reasons why I came into this is because I saw a gap where teachers enforce obedience with the use of violence. Now, beyond that, we must be prepared to ensure that we cannot really sustain peace with the use of violence. So that is something we must found. So for us at Peace Education and Practice Network, over the years we have been able to also look at different scholars and come up with a definition of positive peace, which is the absence of violence, the absence of violence, but the not just the absence of violence or chaos or conflict, but the presence of justice, security, and development. By also paying attention to the structures and cultures that enable that system to be violent in any way. So positive peace rather is the absence of violence, but not just that, the presence of justice, peace and justice, security and development, which is also dealing with the institutions that will enable this peace to be sustainable. That is our best. I think I can express it. But maybe later I can also still come back and expand on this dimension. But I believe we understand the idea of negative peace and how positive peace is a build up on it. By the way, negative peace is not wrong in itself. It's just that it is half done. If you can start like the United Nations, for instance, on submissions, you start, especially when the conflict is very strong, you start from negative peace. But after achieving negative peace, after the violence has been stopped, you must go beyond that and ensure you understand the root cause of this violence and deal with the system and the institutions that enable this violence. Then you are journeying towards positive peace. So it is a process most times. It's connected and it's expected that we keep looking at positive peace at the utmost goal at the end of the day.
Thank you for explaining that. So, in order to break it down for our audience, would it be fair to say that negative peace is basically whatever it takes to get to peace resolution? So, if that means not actually hearing what either party has to say, but basically saying, okay, this is the end of this situation right now, versus positive peace, where the parties involved have expressed themselves, they've come to a negotiation, and both parties are walking away saying, okay, I feel good about this.
Yeah, you're right. So the first one, which is negative peace, help us to stop the conflict, but also we should also not encourage the use of force to stop conflict. That's another angle towards negative peace, that it might be destructive. Because if you use negative peace approaches like the use of force beyond normal, or which is, and that's why you use something like maximum force, kinetic force, non-kinetic force. There are best ways that you don't start maybe negotiation. You know you still want to negotiate, so you must be careful not to destroy the relationship that will happen on your journey to positive peace. So, if you will, no matter what you're doing or the approach, you must ensure that you use peace approach. You must not do harm in the process of stopping that violence, and that is why beyond those approaches of negative peace, we don't have to encourage that if it's not necessary. That should be your last resort to use by using force to stop force or to stop or to enforce obedience. That should be your last resort. Because if you have started with using force to stop violence, it might be difficult for you to get the attention of these people for positive peace engagement later. And that is why some conflicts in the world are not going well, are not being engaged well. So, if, for instance, a party in conflict have used maximum force to interrupt a system or a negotiation process, it will be difficult for them to say, "Oh yeah, come, let's have negotiation." And that's what we are having in some global conflict right now. So, your approach and your process is as important as your destination and your outcome. So, it's important and advisable that when you have a positive peace engagement in mind, also start the process with effective communication, with shuttle diplomacy, with all the other things for negotiation that will make it positive all through. Because most times, if you start negative, it might work in some cases, but sometimes it might destroy the process of your expected outcome at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It reminds me of some techniques that are used by leaders where you can have positive reinforcement, or you can actually use fear and threat the threat of losing your job or the fear of losing your benefits to actually motivate people to do something. So you drive behavior change, but it can be in a positive way, or somebody can be doing something that they don't really want to do, but they know that the outcome is not going to serve them either. Is that fair?
Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break right now, and then we will be back. So stay with us here on Peace Conversation on USA Global TV and radio, and we will see you shortly. Thank you.
What if many of the problems we associate with aging are not random? What if there are identifiable causes behind declining energy, chronic disease, and memory problems? We have been told that aging is simply something we must accept, that slowing down is normal, that growing older means growing weaker. But what if that's only part of the story? Why do some people remain active and engaged well into their later years? Why do others struggle with disease, fatigue, and declining health? What is happening beneath the surface? What processes drive aging? In Aging Sucks, researcher, educator, and author Red O'Loughlin explores what researchers have discovered about why we grow older. No medical degree required, no confusing jargon, just clear explanations of what researchers have discovered about the processes that influence aging. You cannot stop aging, but understanding its causes may help you make better decisions about your health, your future, and your quality of life. Because understanding comes before action. Action creates hope. Aging sucks. End the guesswork. There is hope.
Welcome back to a Peace Conversation here on USA Global TV and radio. Before the break, we were discussing the terms negative peace and positive peace. Here to discuss this further is our experts and the host of our show, Ambassador Moses Abalode. Hello, welcome back to the program, sir.
Yeah, good to be here. Thank you.
So to follow up from our conversation before, one of the things I just mentioned is that for me, I strive every day to live a day of peace. My thoughts are peaceful, my actions are peaceful, but many people believe this is not possible because in order to invoke change, there's drama, there's chaos, there's a sense of being uncomfortable. I don't know if I agree with that, but what are your thoughts about that it's not actually possible to live a peaceful life at the foundation or core of who we are as humans?
Okay, yeah, well, it's about perspective, but the right perspective is that it is possible. It is possible to be able to live at peace with oneself despite the situation going on in the world. It's possible because we have to be in control of our lives and pay attention to ourselves. And it is what we have that we can give to others. And that is why that should be the first thing in peace engagement. You must be able to discover yourself, pay attention to your biological, physiological, psychological, spiritual component and other components of yourself so that you can be whole. And it is when you are whole that you can transmit that wholeness in your relationship to other people. So, and I think in our last conversation too, I share that it is very important that we pay attention to our breathing, our health, our mental health, and different things. And when you're able to do that and pay attention to that and nourish yourself, you can then think of how best to engage the other person. So it's possible. It's very possible, and that's where we should start from. And that is what we call inner peace. That's a relationship between psychology and peace building. So it starts from the self, thinking about yourself, thinking about your emotion, looking at how you can ensure that your emotion is well regulated. And even no matter what the situation will be, your emotion will determine how you can relate better with other people. And I think that that's the bedrock of anything we are doing in peace building.
It
So,
sounds like, so for inner peace, it is possible. I know I have inner peace. You have inner peace. We know people, we surround ourselves with peaceful people. But you talked about negative and positive peace. What about negative and positive conflict? I've been told that some amount of conflict in each of our lives is actually necessary to facilitate change.
okay, thank you very much for that. Maybe not the word. So, in terms of conflict, the typology might not be positive or negative, because conflict is with us. Conflict is innate. Conflict is something that we're born with. Conflict is different from violence. Conflict is part of our wiring as human beings. And that is why you can decide, like for instance, I was having so many thoughts through my mind because of my health. I was thinking, should I join the program today or not? Should I postpone it? That in itself is conflict. The choices we make is a product of conflict. The ideas, the incompatible goals and needs within ourselves give us what we call the intrapersonal conflict. So we have intrapersonal conflict, which might not be harmful, but the consequences is also should be expected. So we have intrapersonal conflict under the types of conflict. So conflict itself is not something to fight. Conflict itself is something to embrace because you cannot fight with yourself. A denial that is there, or an ignorance of it being there, or avoiding that conflict is in you, is a total waste of time. So the first thing is acknowledging the role of conflict in life. Conflict make life beautiful. The fact that we can disagree and you can even disagree with yourself within yourself. I made a mistake. I did something and I can regret it. Is conflict that caused that because you're unable to examine things properly and there's a conflicting ideas coming into your mind. You have to choose. So that is conflict. So conflict happens from birth to death. It's a normal phenomenon. And if you're looking at the characteristics of conflict, we are looking at the fact that conflict is natural, conflict is neutral, conflict is dynamic, conflict is with us. The fact that we are not one, we are not the same person as the other person, we don't carry the same biological makeup, we don't have the same essence, we don't have the same nurturing, parental guidance are different, the kind of experience and exposure we have is different, and also the level of information we have is also different, which makes us definitely we are going to have different engagement with other people. So there will be disagreement here and there. It is something we must accept. So that is in the nature of conflict. Now let's go to the typology of conflict. Conflict is that thing that it is the disagreement that happen between two or more parties through the through finding out the incompatibility of goals, of needs, of interests, of positions that can either construct the relationship or destroy the relationship. So conflict is not the problem. It is how we manage conflict that becomes a problem. So that is on. So let's go deep into typology. When we're looking at typology of conflict, as I said, the first one is the one within us. And if we are looking at it, that is intrapersonal conflict. So aside from intrapersonal conflict, with that, which is the one that comes with issues around our identity, our choice, and also our decisions. So that is around our conflict. I mean, the one within ourselves. Then we now have the conflict between us and the other person. The conflict between us and the other person is known as interpersonal conflict, which can arise from those things I mentioned the other time. Our needs. All of us, we are in search of something. We're interested in something, which is our interest. What are we really? What do we really want in life, in a particular space? Most times, that also leads to our position. And in most cases, we are very strong on our position by saying, this is what should happen. No matter what I'm doing, I must be successful. That is a position. I must be clear, or I must present myself well. That is a position. That is so an interest now would be, what do I want to get from this engagement? For instance, then maybe visibility, maybe communication, maybe partnership, maybe relationship, maybe I want to know Dr. Jacalyn more. things like that. That is an interest. What is the need for me? The need might be, oh, that is something that we will sustain every other thing. That is the major thing I'm looking for. Beyond the fact that I need visibility, what else? Did I need a platform to do more of this? That might be a need. So that is the way we discover our interpersonal needs that really can relate to. So there might be a conflict between that, my own need now, and the other person's need. Possibly Dr. Jacalyn's plan might be different, our interest is different, our position is different, or is clashing with my own. Definitely there will be conflict. And that is how we arrive at interpersonal conflict. And you can see it even in families. There will always be divergence of opinions, of views, of worldview, of needs, of interest, and all that. That is interpersonal conflict. And we have intra-group conflict. That is a conflict that happens within a group, within a family. If you are more than two, the conflict that happens in a family is intra-group conflict within a group, maybe a WhatsApp group. The conflict there is intrapersonal, intra-group conflict. It might be an association or an organization. The conflict in such organization is intra-group conflict. Then we have intergroup conflict. That is a conflict between one group and the other group. Now, possibly let's use football as an instance. Argentina is a group. Spain is another group. We have Portugal. That's and all of them have different goals, different needs. All of them want to win the World Cup, and that makes their interest and goals clashing. So their position or their interest or their need to get the World Cup is clashing because all of them want the same thing. And when there is scarce resources or there is scarce goal to achieve, then if we have different World Cup, and we already say, oh, this country should take this, there won't be conflict because all of them will still have it. But because there is competition and there is scarcity, then we have conflict. And most times, I'll still talk about causes or sources of conflict in most cases. So I've discussed intra-group conflict. Then let's go to, I've discussed intergroup, the conflict that happened between two or more groups, Argentina and Spain. Spain won, they won that conflict. So sport itself can be a good source of healthy conflict. So that is not bad. That is a good one. And conflict, I can tell you, conflict makes the world going. If you see a movie without conflict, you'll be bored. And that means that conflict is essential for the world to keep going. Now, and I think the last one I'll mention is international conflict, which, or in some parlance, we call it international security, but it's international conflict. This is the conflict that happened between two or more countries. Now, we know that something is going on currently, a conflict is going on.
It looks like the ambassador is frozen at the moment. So we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back. Please stay with us. This is a really important topic that pertains to each and every one of us around the world. We'll be right back.
Every day, we wake up knowing what we should do. We know we should take better care of ourselves. We know we should have the difficult conversation. We know we should stop making excuses. We know we should invest in our future. We also know we should take the first step. So why don't we? It's not because we aren't smart enough. It's not because we don't have enough information. And it's certainly not because we don't care. We live in a world overflowing with knowledge. Books, podcasts, videos, courses, experts, even artificial intelligence. We have more access to information than any generation before us. Yet so many of us are still waiting for the right time, waiting to feel ready, waiting until tomorrow. But tomorrow becomes next week becomes next year, and before you know it, another opportunity has passed us by. The truth is, knowing has never been the finish line. It's only the starting line. Our lives don't change because we know more. Our businesses don't grow because we know more. Our relationships don't improve because we know more. And our health doesn't transform because we know more. Everything changes when we act. When we choose courage over comfort, progress over perfection, action over intention, the question isn't, what else do we need to know? The question is, what are we going to do with what we already know? Stop. Why Knowing Isn't Enough by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Because knowing opens the door. Action changes your life. Available September 2026.
Welcome back to Peace Conversation here on USA Global TV and Radio. I feel that promo that we just ran is really appropriate because if you think about stop, why knowing isn't enough, we're talking today about peace. And so each and every one of us has some idea or feeling of what it's like to be at peace, whether it's peace of mind, peace in your home, peace in your community, peace in your workplace, peace in the world. And yet, even though we know what that's like, we still don't take action so that we ourselves can be at peace, or so that we can actually listen deeply to someone else, or give someone the opportunity to share something without judging them. And when you think about it, if we are not at peace, if you do not have peace of mind, and then you engage with someone else, you have a conversation with someone, you're in a meeting with someone, you're bringing whatever those feelings are that you have with you to that next interaction. And that's why you may have been in a conversation with someone and they start snapping at you, or they have an attitude or a disposition and you don't really understand it. Or maybe it's you yourself. Have you ever had an interaction with someone and you find yourself sort of feeling jittery or uneven, or you don't know exactly what's going on? And it's not that you are upset with this person, but you're actually unhappy with something in your own life and you take it out on someone else. Well, when you think about that and that starts to magnify and ripple from one person to the next, if we think about the whole world as a big set of dominoes, and then they just start falling one after another, to me, that's what it looks like when we're not at peace. So I don't know if the ambassador is going to be able to join us. I don't know what's with the situation with the Wi-Fi signal there, but I just want to take a few minutes to talk about this because I think it's so important, and it's actually in alignment with what I teach about elevated listening. Many people will believe that peace on earth, peace in this world, is someone else's job. And people will believe we don't have peace in this world because of someone, one person, one leader, one government entity. But it might not be that at all. It might be that we as individuals, we as humans, we as part of this collective, we are not at peace individually. And so when we don't deal with what's going on in our own life, we don't know how to process it. Maybe we don't have the tools. Maybe we feel that life isn't fair. Maybe we're living in the idea that it's a just world instead of a rough world. And these feelings start to magnify, and then we carry them on. I don't have any statistics in front of me, but if you do some research about people who have grown up in homes where they've been abused, there's a certain percentage of people who will then abuse because that's what they're used to. And so if you do not have peace in your heart, what is the likelihood that you, that me, that any of us may be part of the fact that there's not peace in the world? And I know that's a big concept, and I know that some of you will not grasp that at all, because there are many times that we just want to blame someone. It's someone else's fault that we are where we are in the world. But all I can reference that many of you can relate to right now is social media. If you look at social media and you see how much hatred is out there, does that mean that you putting hatred out there is part of the resolution? No, it's not. You're actually part of the dominoes. You're actually pushing it forward. And so even if you are living in a community where you keep your opinions to yourself, you are basically feeding others in that same community. So you may look to one government, one country, one leader, and you may say, oh, it's this person's fault. But in actuality, in everyday life, all of us have a choice. And the choice is, do we choose peace or do we choose something other? And when we're choosing peace, in my opinion, as a peace ambassador and also someone who is very passionate about giving people a voice, we have to listen. But we can't listen when we're judging. We can't listen when we're looking at someone who looks different than we do, who speaks differently than we do, who has different ideas than we do, and say, oh, okay, I'm an advocate for peace. Because even in that conversation, you're not choosing peace. You're choosing judgment. And again, if the whole world is one big stage of dominoes, where are you in that line of dominoes pushing forward so that your negativity is pushed on someone else? And it is a huge concept to think of each and every one of us taking time out of our day to find peace. And when conflict occurs in your home, even in your own mind, how do you deal with it? Or do you just push it under the carpet? Or do you mask it in sarcastic comments or passive aggressive statements? Or say something very cutting and then tell someone, oh, I was just kidding. All of those things wrapped together are basically a formula for judgment. And if we want to be at peace, if you truly believe you want to be at peace, and I know people will say they'll start quoting the Bible and they'll quote this person and quote that, but what are you doing yourself? What are you doing as a human being to find peace within yourself and foster peace instead of judgment? Very few people take the time to look within themselves and say, wait a minute, this is where I am part of the problem. This is where I am not being part of the solution. Instead, we blame it on someone else. I see it all the time when I'm broadcasting. People will put comments that have nothing to do with this show, that have nothing to do with me, that have nothing to do with the network. They're just comments filled with hatred. And I feel sorry for the people. I give them grace because I know that there's something at the very core of who they are that is unsettled, that is unheard, that they feel unseen. And when you take that and you magnify it and you pass it on, you, my friend, are not part of the solution. When you make statements that, oh, I just share my political perspectives and I just share my negativity with my community, you're not part of the solution because your goal is to influence other people to see the negativity the way that you see it. But what if you took the opportunity to share positivity? What if you took the opportunity to be part of the solution? That takes work. Does it take work to be negative, to be mean, to be hateful, to make passive aggressive statements, to make sarcastic statements? No, people are very flippant. They're just, oh, you look great today for your age. Oh, if I were you, I do this. Just negative comments that we don't need. But if you actually took the time to be positive, to be kind, to be considerate, I guarantee it will come back to you at some point in your life. And where you're feeling unseen and unheard and deprived, and you're the victim, and how did this happen to me? And why did this happen to me? That is a lot of time that probably is not amounting to much in terms of happiness and peace of mind. But if you reframe it, if you choose to change your perspective and look around and say, you know what? I have this, and this to be grateful for. The fact that we can voice our opinions. In some places in the world, people can't. But what if you used your opinion to spread a positive message? What if each and every one of you out there right now who's thinking negative thoughts about me, who may be posting negative comments, what if you turned that around and thought to yourself, what positive comments can I share? Wouldn't people be more attracted to you and your community and your position by coming from a place of positivity? Absolutely. The choice is yours. Continue to live with hatred in your heart. Continue to live with drama in your life versus choosing peace and happiness. If you haven't chosen peace and happiness, you probably don't know what that feels like. But there is something amazing when you realize that you are actually at peace. Yesterday, I went somewhere and I had to take a test, and there were some questions, and it was basically a health test. And one of the questions was, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your stress level? And I said 1, because there's always some kind of stress in life. And then the person said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your sleeping ability? 10 being the best. 10. Why is this? Am I some superhuman being? No, because I have chosen to find peace. I have chosen to move away from drama and conflict. I don't get engaged or involved in negative conversations where people are just gossiping and trashing other people. When I walk through the gym, there's an area where people can sit down and all they're doing is gossiping. They're just talking about other people. To me, that is not a good use of my time. A good use of my time is to spread positivity, compliment people, lift people up, mentor people, coach people. But that's just me. I'm not saying that's for everyone. But if you're sitting there, standing there, lying down, wherever you are in the world, and you are filled with anger and hatred, my friends, no one is coming to save you. There's no magic wand. There's no magic pill. There's nothing in life that doesn't come with consequences. So you can choose right this minute to say, you know what, I'm not going to have this mindset anymore. And it takes work. It takes work, and it takes sacrifice, and it takes making choices and setting boundaries. And that's an area where people have difficulty setting boundaries, being able to say no. No is a complete sentence. But I can't do the work for you, and no one can do the work for me. We each have to do the work for ourselves. So when you think about this show, peace conversation, listen deeply, speak thoughtfully, build peace together. If we want peace on earth, if we truly want peace in this world, it's not up to one leader, 2 leaders, 3 leaders, government entities. It's up to us, the people, across the world, human beings, by treating each other with respect. You know, one of the things I've seen recently is there's some videos posted on Instagram, and they're police pulling people over for driving infractions. And they clearly have them on camera, speeding, driving without a license plate. And the people in the vehicles, the drivers, they become violent. They start screaming and yelling instead of turn over your driver's license. I mean, basic things. You're driving, you're pulled over, you have some violation, you find out what it is, driver's license, registration, insurance, and people become irate. How dare you pull me over? As though we're living in a society where there are no rules. Well, I don't know where that society is, but it's not here. Maybe it's some other planet. And so by thinking that you're bigger than the law, you have more rights than others, you're part of the problem. And then these people become violent and they still go to jail anyway. And so what did you gain? If you are choosing violence, if you're choosing on a smaller level, passive aggressive behavior, if you're sitting with your family and you're making these sarcastic comments, look in the mirror. It starts with you. It starts with me. And that's how peace is created. one person, one relationship, one family, one group, one community at a time. So I encourage you to do a deep dive. And instead of waiting for someone to save the day, for some law to be passed, for someone to get into office, for some magic pill, let's do the work ourselves. Every day, choose peace. Every day, choose grace. Every day, give someone the benefit of the doubt. And when it doesn't work in a relationship, you can choose to set a boundary and say, thank you, I wish you well, I'm moving on my own way. You don't have to give explanations. You don't have to justify. Thank you and goodbye. That's a choice that you have, a choice to honor yourself and to honor others. But you don't have to take people along kicking and screaming, baggage with you because you don't know how to let go, because you're afraid. It is scary to let go of things, to let go of relationships, to let go of mindsets, to let go of habits. It is, but that's how we grow. And so I'm asking you to consider changing your perspective from one of negativity, one of being a victim, to one of positivity, of one of finding inner peace. And if you need help, there are many people across the world who can help you. I'm a peace ambassador. Each and every one of you can be a peace ambassador. You don't have to have special credentials to be a peace ambassador. There are plenty of peace ambassadors out there around the world and peace organizations. And I want to share one that Moses Abelodi is the executive director of. It's PEPNET, Peace, Education, and Practice Network. The website is thepepnet, THEPEPNET.org. And so you can find all kinds of information here about building peace. If you're interested in training, facilitating, they're interested in helping you as well. They are bipartisan. They are registered. You can make donations. And they also have strategic partners all over the world. I'm actually a peace ambassador through World Citizen Peace. You can see them there. And USA Global TV and Radio is also a partner of PEPNET. So here's the information. Please do consider reaching out. And I will put up the information to contact Moses. It's LinkedIn. And here is his LinkedIn information. Here is his account. I'm going to show it to you now. And then, of course, if you would like to have more information on the website, you can go there as well and be part of the solution. It's so easy to complain. If you think about it, what if your day was filled with one phone conversation, one meeting after another, where the only thing you heard were complaints? You might be working at a customer service center. Think about that. Customer service reps are listening usually to negative comments all day long. Now, does that mean when they're finished working that they can go out and commit violence? No. Does that mean that they can go home and just start punching people and throwing things and breaking things? No. They have training. They have training on how to deal with the negativity. So most of us as humans, we have no training. We don't know what to do. So I'm saying, I understand. Start with your own mindset. When you meet someone and the first thing you want to do is, oh, look at her, look at him, she's this, she's that. Immediately you start labeling. No, find something positive. Maybe engage with them in a conversation for 2 or 3 minutes. You might learn something. Maybe thank people for their time. Do something that's positive so that you are part of the solution. And I guarantee when you have to take a test and someone says to you, what is your stress level? If your stress level is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, time for change. I don't know what the change is for you, but your body is reaching out. Your mind is reaching out. Your spirit is probably crying. And if you can't sleep at night because you are tormented by what's going on in your life, it's time to get help. And the help starts with you by changing your mindset. Thank you for listening. I truly do appreciate it. My role here is to provide education. It is not for judgment. It is not to point out any one person or persons. It is basically to give you some solutions, some tips to find peace. Because I know for me, I am at peace. I have a very peaceful life because, as somebody said to me recently, I made it that way. Nobody came in and did it for me. I've had plenty of trauma in my life, plenty of drama in my life, plenty of loss in my life, but I have chosen to be at peace. And so that means I don't have the same relationships I used to have. I don't walk in the same circles I used to walk in. I don't look for external validation from other people. I find it from within. And that doesn't mean everybody likes me. They don't have to. The only person who has to like me is me. And the only person who has to like you is you. So thank you so much for being here. Please go in peace. If you have not done so already, please do subscribe to our YouTube channels, USA Global TV and Radio, and my personal channel, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. We would love to have you as part of our community. And now, as we sign off, I just want to say, I really believe in the goodness in humankind. I really believe that each and every one of us has goodness in our heart, no matter what we've done, that we can be redeemed, that we can ask for forgiveness. But first, we have to forgive ourselves, and then we have to say, what can I do to help others? What can I do to be of service? As we close out now, I just want to ask you, who can you give grace to today? Where do you have a relationship in your life you're really struggling with? You're really upset about it? How can you let go? What does that mean to actually let go and find peace? I'll leave you with that. Thank you and take care. Every great story begins with a vision. At USA Global TV and Radio, for years, we've been providing world-class education, entertainment, inspiration, imagination, connections, and hope. Most people don't stay to watch the outro or the credits, but it's the people behind every success, behind every breakthrough, and behind every unforgettable story who matter. The TV show hosts, our guests, our sponsors, our publicists, our production team, our distribution team, our search engine optimization team, and so many more. You're the ones who make the difference. Every great story belongs to the people who bring it to life. Our future looks bright at USA Global TV and Radio. And that's because of you, our loyal fan base all around the world in more than 60 countries. Together, we're making a difference because you matter. USA Global TV and Radio, live streaming to over 60 countries. Voiceover, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Video production and direction, Paul Garcia. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV and Radio on YouTube.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.